I wish a radio drama every at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I wish I knew radio drama, brought to you by MICA in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Things they happen for our community, eh?
Now I can recoup back all the money I have spent on this annoying family.
Hey, yeah, that woman own don't finish.
My dear, let's go and greet them, okay?
Hey! Join media collation and awareness to hold trafficking, MICAs, on I Wish I Knew radio drama and program every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Join us to kick human trafficking out of our society. I Wish I Knew radio drama and program is brought to you by MICAs and funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark.
Today, right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, the radio experience you can always count on. And it's time for I Wish I Knew radio program and drama. And on this program, we get to talk about human trafficking and how we can, bridge the gap to make sure that we do not fall victims and to make sure that our loved ones equally are safe and protected. My name is Dilto Joan, and I will be your host and anchor for today. Now, on this program, we get to talk about, the challenges, the difficulties. We get to talk about how technology is part of, whatever it is that we're dealing with at the moment. We get to talk to survivors. We get to talk to people who are actively at the forefront of, engaging and making sure that we have a safer and saner society, a safer and saner environment for everyone. And it is my deepest, desire that at the end of this program, we would be able to take out things that we can use to bring about change, to bring about, redemption for ourselves and for other people. And this program is brought to you by MICAT in partnership with NAPTIP and also with funding from the Danish Embassy, and also, of course, with collaboration with Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. And like I said, my name is Dilto Joan. Today we're going to be looking at some questions that have come up around the issue of human trafficking. Some questions that a lot of people have had difficulties, understanding, and we'll be throwing some of these questions out, so we can have an engagement and interaction. So yes, this is open for you to call in and weigh in, lend us your voice. Let's talk, let's have a conversation. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, this is an urgent need. This is something that requires all of us to be on the same page, so we can find lasting solution to the issue of human trafficking in our society again. So I will be calling out some of these questions, and of course I'll try to lend my voice, but it is not complete when we do not have you having a say, okay? So please, by all means, you can always call us as the show goes on. If you have questions, if it's inquiries, or you just want to touch on, what we'll be looking at today. Let me just drop the numbers. The numbers are 090-8766-8888. 090-8766-8888. 8888. Or you can also call us on 090 73 53 0044. Again, 090 73 53 0044. If you'd rather send us a text message or a WhatsApp message or even a WhatsApp voice note, you can do that to the number 090 9705 4450. 090 9705 4450. That is the number to send either your WhatsApp message or a text message, or you can also send us a WhatsApp voice note, and we would appreciate that. All right, so today we're looking at some frequently asked questions that have reared up their heads when it comes to the issue of human trafficking, especially in Nigeria. And one of such questions is, how do poverty and economic inequality contribute to the vulnerability of individuals to trafficking? And it is no brainer that poverty and economic hardship has to be one of the major reasons why a lot of people are desperate to even get into the business of human trafficking or become victims themselves. So in many countries, especially in rural or underserved communities, we have a lot of people who are faced with chronic unemployment. There's limits to the kind of education and exposure and knowledge they have. They also have no access or limited access to formal opportunities, and this in turn opens them up to a lot of difficulties and challenges that ultimately leads them to falling prey or victims. Now, this makes them more likely to believe promises, and like we've established on this program so many times before, some of these people come with too good to be true opportunities, and they and tell you things and tell you that they have this and that. They tell you they have opportunities that you can definitely use and utilize, and before you know it, you have fallen victim, you have fallen prey to their plans. And this has been a problem for a lot of people. This has been a lot of problem for Nigerians, and even those who are not even in Nigeria at the moment. So it has been a great challenge that poverty and economic hardship are some of the major factors why people find themselves falling victims of human trafficking. Now, to help us answer some of these questions even further, we are joined by Mr. Salis Mohammed Abdusalam. He's the founder of Displaced Women and Children Foundation, and he will be doing justice to what we'll be looking at today. A very good morning to you, sir. Hello? Hello, sir? Okay, so I think we would have to try and reach out again. Just give me a few minutes. It is still Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. It is the radio experience you can always count on, and it is I Wish I Knew radio program and drama, where we get to talk about the issue of human trafficking in our society, and how different people are making the change, how different people are putting their hands together to join the fight, to join the movement, to ensure that we have a better society for the sake of everyone.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we have you now. Very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Glad you could join us this morning.
Well, my pleasure.
All right, sir. So we're currently looking at some questions, especially some questions that we've been approached with when it comes to the issue of human trafficking. And one of the questions is, what role do recruitment agencies or intermediaries play in the economic chain of human trafficking, especially in labor migration?
Well, the intermediaries, some legal, some illegal.
Yeah.
But it's basically, profit making.
Mm.
So the intermediaries actually treat it as business.
Mm.
So some legal, some illegal. And the illegal seem to be higher than the legal. So it's a criminal activity.
Yeah.
So it's for profit. That is just it. It's commercial.
Yeah. Okay, so from our introduction, it says here that you are the founder of Displaced Women and Children Foundation. So from your experience working with displaced women and children, how are they economically valued or exploited by traffickers? And also, what determines how much profit these traffickers aim to make from them?
Well, first and foremost, vulnerability.
Yeah.
The displaced persons are vulnerable in all ramifications. No shelter, no means of livelihood, and then no security. So the first thing that comes to their mind is survival. A teenage girl in an IDP camp is as vulnerable, as a sanitary pad.
Yeah.
So for as little as that, you can get them to do things against their will. Now, most times they are told where they are, they cannot survive, or they cannot make a living where they are. So they offer them opportunities outside, but it's basically cheap labor, and then those that are trafficked from that angle economically are the girls, housemaids, and so on and so forth. But they are not vulnerable internationally. They are vulnerable locally. So they are not very much involved in the international trafficking.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that answer, sir. Now, let's look at regional differences. Are there regional differences when it comes to human trafficking profitability? Are there variations according to different locations? And what economic factors drive these variations?
Now, when you talk about region, are we looking at Nigeria here?
Yes, sir, in Nigeria.
Yeah, okay, well, we will have to look at it from the north and the south perspective. From the north, you have intra. The trafficking is mostly within the country, where you now move, domestic stuff, especially adolescents. We're looking at kids, 13, 14, that people use as house helps. So in the north, it is intra trafficking within the country.
Yeah.
In the south, it is mostly international, where girls go out. Girls are being trafficked for prostitution, and then you have men or young boys being trafficked to work in backdoor industries, like in the Middle East, like Dubai, and the rest. They use them for cheap labor. So the region, the difference within the region is capacity in terms of what can a northerner offer abroad. Yeah. Not in terms of capacity, in terms of attitude, orientation, background.
Yeah.
So from the south, yes, more of the girls sometimes even willingly submit themselves for trafficking because of the lure, to earn foreign currency. So they expose themselves, to some very despicable acts, which prostitution is also part of it. And then where the male gender is concerned, they can do any kind of work, wash cups in the mortuary, and so on and so forth. So within the regions, this is basically part of the difference. And then economically, yes, you all have, this migration also benefits because of the weakness of the naira compared to maybe, for instance, the dollar, or the pound sterling. So the traffickers, know that people are very interested in earning in dollars and earning in pounds. So that is what they use to lure them. That is the deceit factor. You know, and then so regionally, that is it. You have more trafficking across the border offshore than in the south than you have in the north.
All right. All right, so in case someone is just joining us, you're on to Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, the radio experience you can count on. And it is the I Wish I Knew radio program and drama brought to you by Mikat. And today we're being graced with the voice of Mr. Salis Mohammed Abdul Salam. He is the founder of Displaced Women and Children Foundation. Now, in case anyone has any, questions or inquiries, or you just want to, share some things with us, this is the right platform for you. You can either call the number 090-8766-8888 or 090-7353-0044. You can also send us a WhatsApp message or voice notes, or send us a text message to 090-9705-4450. Now, sir, do you think that there are legitimate businesses who unknowingly, sometimes benefit from this trafficking, or do you also think that there are legitimate businesses who knowingly benefit from trafficking?
Yeah, there are. I just give you an example about criminally. I give you an example of Dubai, for instance.
Yeah.
They use a lot of cheap African labor to prepare their construction industry, to develop their country, to do all these manual labor in all their construction sites. So. And then they restrict them even to some certain quarters in the country where they don't even allow them to mix with the people. So they have an idea that these people are not, legitimately present in their country. They know. So they are carrying out a legitimate business in that location, in that destination. But those that were trafficked illegitimately.
Okay.
Were trafficked criminally. So you cannot treat people like that if they came in through the legal process. Because when you come into a legal process, you have a work permit. You are treated like an expatriate. You came into this location for certain and very specific purposes. But for labor, they some of them do legitimate business, and they know that the labor they use is illegitimate.
Yeah, sure.
Knowingly and unknowingly, yes, some know, some do not know.
Yeah, sure. And while you were making examples of some African, our African brothers and sisters who are offering cheap labor abroad, I just it just occurred to me how much of slavery human trafficking is, and it's dangerous. Human
trafficking, whether we like it or not, is directly related to slave trade.
Yeah,
that is the genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything that we experience today is as a result of a particular act.
Yeah.
So people now feel even when after some days of even when slavery was abolished, Africans that settled in those climes looked at those places as more developed. And they started repatriation, sending money back home, and then inviting their family members and friends to come over for greener pasture.
Yeah.
So that is it. So the law actually started, and the entire transaction started from slavery.
Yeah, very true.
Slave trade.
Yes.
Slave trade.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So let's answer this question now.
Okay.
Most times when people, tell you or when you find the cases or the reason why people even get involved in human trafficking in the first place is to get some form of economic benefits. But is it possible that there are economic risks also that are associated with human trafficking for the individuals involved, for their families, and also for communities?
The economic risks are many. If you go to the south of Nigeria, some parents even sell their landed property to facilitate trafficking of their children. Willingly. Out of ignorance, they have this belief that when their child is abroad, the money he makes there has more value than the money he will make in Nigeria, and then he will now send back money from abroad, and then they'll be richer. So they see it as an investment, and some of the times they do not only lose the money, they even lose the child. Because on transit, when you travel through the Sahel and use the desert and use the Red Sea, the Blue Sea, and all those seas to go abroad, yet not all of them get to their destination. So it is even beyond economic risk. Most times the success rate is not more than 20-30%. So there's an economic risk. So people risk their life and gamble with the little money they have to make that trip. They pay exorbitantly, sometimes 2-3 million just to see in defeat that they will get a visa for them, they'll get work permit for them. They pay all sorts of charges. They pay agency fee, they pay commission, they pay, and then they sponsor the trip. They pay for every location they have to stop. So economically is very risky, and is also life-threatening. So there is risk in it. There is economic. There are lots of economic risk in it.
All right, sir. So now let's look a little bit on solutions. Now, how much do you think anti-trafficking industries, like NGOs, law enforcement, legal services, how much can they factor into the broader economics of trafficking prevention? How much efforts can they put into it?
Yeah, the efforts being NATFIC needs to be commended. They're trying, and then the NGOs are also trying, like from my own end, but a lot needs to be done in terms of financing, because awareness, enlightenment is something that gobs a lot of money without any return. So a lot of the times we hear about trafficking, we read about it only after the act has been committed.
Sure.
So much funds must be devoted to enlightenment and awareness campaigns. In the north, it's almost absent. It's almost absent. You go to states like Gombe, you go to states like Bauchi, Taraba, you don't hear about the trafficking. Only intra within the country, where or when a child is being abused because he was trafficked to Lagos, trafficked anywhere, you don't hear about it in the north. Now, the most trafficked child in Nigeria, within Nigeria, is the Almajiri child.
Sure.
So a lot, that's the most trafficked child in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So there is legislation that is required, law that will checkmate all of these things, because you don't look at the child alone, you don't look at the trafficker, you look at the parent, the custodian of the child that made that child vulnerable. So we need legislative intervention. That's the second aspect, outside awareness and enlightenment. We need legislative law to checkmate it. You can't just throw a 6-year-old child on the street. That is the height of vulnerability. So where the child finds himself at the end of the day, he has no choice. And whose fault is it? The parents' fault.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So NGOs are doing, but we We're not doing enough because there is no pause. You look at NAPKIP, sometimes the place like Just, for instance, you're even looking for their office. They say, okay, it's in the state secretariat, plus the federal government secretariat in Just. You know, they are supposed to be very visible. So many girls are being trafficked from Just to Lagos, Just to Port Harcourt. You know, for domestic labor. And it always ends up in child abuse. That child is denied the right to education, denied the right to family care and love.
Very true.
You know, so we should not concentrate only where solutions are concerned. We concentrate more on international trafficking than we do on local trafficking.
Yes, sir. True. You have a very valid point there. It will be incomplete for us to go without us touching on the social media and technology and all of that now. How that is impacting, you know, trafficking. So if you just want to touch a little bit on that from your experience, sir.
Yes, the where social media is concerned, that is where the enticement is. You know, a lot of the propaganda that actually makes trafficking exciting is rooted through the social media.
Sure.
You know, I do the social media also has helped in exposing the danger of it. So it depends on how we use the social media. NAPKIP, NGOs are supposed to capitalize on the spread, you know, of the social media to be able to use it. So, and then the transactions are even done via social media.
Yeah.
You know, they tell you, oh, we've recorded you when you're taking your oath and so they snap your pictures naked to say if you don't comply, we'll expose you on social media, we'll put your naked picture on social media. So, you know, all of these things. So the social media plays a very, very, very critical role. So now, are we prepared as NGOs, as the government agencies to also use the same social media to counter?
Sure.
You know, and then use it positively, you know, to be able to curtail trafficking. So social media is key in trafficking. Key.
Well, we've been talking to Mr. Salis Mohammed Abdul Salam, founder of Displaced Women and Children Foundation. And honestly, the way he effortlessly talks, it's obvious that you are very passionate about this and you've had, you know, years of experience handling cases like this. So we want to say thank you for your hard work and, you know, for your sacrifice to humanity. And we're hoping to see in Nigeria that you are working towards, you know, with every effort that you make with your NGO. Before we go, sir, we just want to ask if you have any final words to leave with our listeners.
Well, my final word there is today, I think with about 7 million Almajiri children on the road, you know, on the streets of Nigeria, I think that is where our attention should be now, because 7 million is a very scary number. So, and then, like I said, they are the most trafficked Nigerian child, you know, so we need to do something about that, because I do not see how or what will bring a 10-year-old kid, you know, from Jigawa to be on the streets of Port Harcourt, you know, to be in Aba washing toilets of brothels. You know, I do. So it's very dangerous, and you cannot disassociate it from the growth of banditry in the north. You know, so trafficking, that aspect of trafficking needs to be checked. How does a 10, an 8, 9-year-old boy from, you know, the north finds himself in Lagos? You need to check that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so that's my parting word. And then for parents that actually think whatever it is their children do abroad, it doesn't matter as long as it is what brings money. I think they just run farther and farther away from God. If you have the fear of God, you will not encourage your child to do just anything to bring money abroad.
Yes, sir. That's a good message to leave out there to our listeners. Thank you so much, sir. We're wishing you the best of your Saturday.
You're most welcome. My pleasure anytime.
All right, sir. Have a great day. No greater words have been said than what Mr. Salis has left with us this morning. So to all the parents listening, we hope that you're willing to do better for your children. You're not willing to just leave them in the hands of time and chance, but you're willing to give them the best. Okay, they deserve the best. This is as far as we can go for today, but join us next week, same time, same station, right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja from 10 to 10:30. It is I Wish I Knew radio program and drama brought to you by MICAT in partnership with NAPTIV and with funding from the Danish Embassy and of course with partnership from Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, the radio experience you can always count on. My name still remains Dilto Jode and keep listening. Do not touch that dial.